you can't Niba?
So you pretty much flow with the goal.
I come to the right place now.
Post Rolls Jiu Jitsu Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Post Rolls Podcast. Today is going to be a little bit different of a show. You can see that Miles isn't here today. He had some family business to attend to. But we got my friend Steve Seeley in the room. And it's going to be a little different. So Steve owns some martial arts gyms, owns some MMA gyms, and he does a bunch of other business ventures. So we're gonna talk a lot about business today. So that's kind of a side, or it's something I've become more and more interested in over the last few years. And if that's not something that you are interested in, just come on back next week and we'll talk some more jiu-jitsu. But for today, let's talk some business.
Love it. Love it.
Dude, so we talked a little bit before you opened up Storm Training Center, right?
Yep.
And you opened up two out the gate, like immediately.
Correct.
Did you ever have one, or did they both open together?
Yeah, we signed the lease on one, and while we were building that one out, we made an offer on one of the UFC gyms that were down the street.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking that over. So while we were building out the one, we took over an existing UFC, made it Storm MMA Training Center.
Yeah.
Then started building the brand while we were building the other one.
Nice.
Then the goal was going to be, once we opened that, to see if we were stealing from each other. It was a short-term lease that I had signed, so I wasn't too bound to it.
Okay.
And then we opened and we kept both of them for a while.
Yeah.
Then it was just to end up being a cash sucker.
Which one? The bigger one?
Just the general, because they're really the same.
Yeah.
We just the one that we took over, it was too close to the one that we built.
Yeah.
So we just felt like we weren't, it didn't make any sense to spend that money, so we just gave up that lease, and then we just focused on the one that we built out.
How far apart are they from each other?
Like 3 miles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I've noticed that with a lot of martial arts schools. So my instructor has a place in Norco, and then he opened up a place pretty much down the road, like the next city over, but real close. And he got this wasn't his idea. It's pretty common where like people try to more or less dominate an area, and then but I always wonder if that's. And then there's like Atos. Do you know Atos?
No.
Do you know Andre Garvales?
Yes.
He's the guy that got slapped by Gordon. He's awesome. But that's with Atos, they're like, you can't open up anywhere near us, Yeah. Like there was like Atos in Europe before there was one anywhere else in like Southern California,
Okay.
But so you found it was too much for one area?
What we were trying to achieve is the one we were building out had training, so it had weights and machines. The one that we took over from the UFC was all mats. So mats and bags. So basically jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and then Muay Thai, boxing.
Okay.
More specialized in that. The one that we were building was more of a luxe gym, really, really nice locker rooms. We had a little jiu-jitsu area, so we were figuring, okay, we'll make the other one more jiu-jitsu friendly, and the other one, and then we just started moving stuff around and realizing that wasn't a big enough space, and we're wasting square footage.
Yeah.
Figuring that the one member could train at both facilities, so if you wanted to just roll in wrestling, you could go there. Then you want to get some weight training in, you could go to the other one. But it just didn't make sense after we probably did that together for about a year, and then we just went all in on the one that we built out.
Is that before or after COVID? That you decided to stick with one?
Yeah, right during it. So we opened up in October of 19, and then I think COVID happened in 2020.
Yeah.
March. So we opened in October, and then right around February, March, we were having to be shut down.
That's right. I remember that now, because I remember when I went there, we had talked about me teaching there.
Correct.
And then I don't remember exactly. I think it was like a drive thing. I don't remember exactly, but then I was like, we talked, I was like, I'll come by, this and that. And then COVID happened, and I was like, I guess I'm not coming by.
Yeah, there was no classes.
Yeah. What did you guys do? How hard did you did you fully close down with a bigger box model? Right, I feel like
we did right in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we kind of tested the members' temperature.
Yeah.
And the ones that were like, no, we're coming. If you guys are open, we're coming.
Yeah.
So we did it kind of on the DL. We did some just privates.
Okay.
but didn't advertise it.
Yeah.
And then finally I got to the point where I'm like, I'm either going to die or I got to make a move. So I called the Orange County Sheriffs and I said, okay, what's my fine? How much are you going to charge me if I open up? And they said, $0.
Oh, nice.
And I said, okay. So all we're going to tell you, though, is if we get a call, we have to come by.
Right.
And we have to make sure that you're sanitary, at the front desk.
Yeah.
And then we're masks. Other than that, do it.
Yeah.
We're behind it.
Were you doing jiu-jitsu classes? Or did
No.
you just open the gym portion?
Just the gym portion. And then we did limited. I think we can do 40 per class, and I think we cut it in half. So we did 20. So we had limitations. You had to sign up.
Right.
We had an online thing where you signed up. And yeah, we cut everything in half.
Dude, it was such a weird thing where it was either. So I had some friends whose gyms like exploded during COVID just because there so many people were trying to find a place.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that has a kickboxing gym, and he helped me a lot in opening Prism, and he went through from 2020. He went from 200 to 500 members, and he's a small box gym, so like 500 members and this is only Muay Thai.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't like that's all they do there. So I mean, MMA is a small niche inside of the gym business.
Yeah,
and Muay Thai is
like way smaller out of all of them, probably. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And he went to like 500 members just because people were like, "There's a place that I can go train."
Yeah.
Like whatever, I'll go.
Yeah. Orange County seemed to be the first ones that basically said we're not doing this no more.
Yeah.
And then LA seemed to stand more harder on it for longer.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
And then when it was the second time when they said shut down, we said, "You can fuck yourself."
Right. Yeah. When we opened, we opened in 2021, and my parents were like, "What are you going to do if they?" I'm like, "I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We're not closing."
No. Do what you got to do. That's why I was like, let me figure out what the fine would be. Take that off of the overhead every month and open.
Right.
Yeah, it was brutal.
For sure. Dude, it's tough to. One of the things that I'm trying to learn is to not be emotionally attached to something that you get excited about doing. So like when you had to make the choice to say no on the second one, was that like
it was
a
brutal.
heartbreaker?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I almost felt like a failure, to be honest with you, because like, why can't I make this work?
Right.
And then I had to, like you're saying, step away, take the emotion out, and just look at the raw numbers.
Right.
And just look at the members and how many are using both clubs. Not many. What are we getting? What are we paying? It just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
The dollars and cents at the end of the day.
Yeah. Did you do like a UFC gym model where there's like a cheaper price that allows you weights and then a more expensive price that has them?
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
went all in.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, one price get you full, access to the weights, access to unlimited classes.
And you still have the MMA classes too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
nice.
Yep.
That's probably. Why'd you? Do you feel like going that way? I'm always hesitant to like charge high prices because I'm scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What we did is we, myself and my partner Damon, at the time, we're like, we got to differentiate ourselves. And the one motivating factor, to be quite honest, on why I even did it, is I was training at the UFC gym in Lake Forest.
Right.
It was dirty. It was shitty. The locker, it was just disgusting.
Mm.
And he was telling me what they were doing on every month. I'm like, we're in Laguna.
Well, what they were making every month?
Yeah, what they were doing, because he knew the numbers. And I was
Right.
like, okay, let me do the math here. If I open up an upscale, higher end,
Right.
nice locker rooms, nice where it's more, you're going to pay for what you're getting,
Right.
then we need to charge more.
For sure.
And we stood by it, and we're still the highest priced in the area. There's obviously other gyms that are around and that are cheaper than us. And we've been successful ever since.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's hard to do that, or at least it's hard for me to do that. I guess I'm just like So when I had my dent removal business, I was super cheap, and then once I had a full schedule and just a few people kind of influencing me, I was like, all right, I'll raise the price, and then I saw no difference in. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna get more no's now, but then I'll make more money per job. So that'll just even out.
Right.
But then I didn't get more no's. And I was like, oh, I'm just making more money now.
Yeah. Well, it's like, set your value on what you're worth.
Right. Yeah. So with the school, with my school, just I'm coming from a different spot, and I have a different like objective with the school where it's me and the students. And so when I originally opened, I was like, I want to make a price because we're in Escondido, it's a long way from Laguna.
Yeah, yeah, right. No,
so
we got to know your market, right?
Right, yeah. So I was like, I want to make sure I want to set a price where I'm like, I don't price people out. Like, obviously you're gonna price some people out. There's some people that don't have the resources at all, but I don't want maybe a kid that like grew up in a poorer part of the neighborhood and he's like, oh, I want to learn self-defense and he can't do it, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, okay, I'm going to start at a low price. And because I'm like a small box gym, it was doable because I don't have, my overhead at the time was rent and then period. That's it. Rent and a couple $100 for insurance, Now it's much higher, but that's how we started. But then eventually I was like, okay, I have too many people. I do need to price some people out. So that I could do a better job with the people that I have, and then we raised the price, and then again it didn't make a difference. I've raised the price a few times, and then so I'm like, okay, well I have some extra money now. I have a few guys to help me teach the kids and stuff, so I don't have to put my mind on the kids as much. I'm still focused on it, but I have help in that, It's there's a thing, I don't remember where I read this. I read this a long time ago where it was like a guy owned a shop and there was some jewelry that he couldn't get rid of, and I don't even think it's a true story, it's just metaphorical, but he couldn't get rid of this jewelry and he's like 10% off, let me get rid of this. 70% off, nobody wants it, all right, half off, whatever. And then he like tells the store manager, okay, we're gonna do it like this price, and the guy misreads it and he labels it at like way more expensive than it sells.
Yeah, it sells. Yeah.
People are like, oh, this must be nice.
Oh,
I guess,
yeah,
huh?
there must be something special about this because it costs this much. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So is that you said that there's other UFC gyms still around?
Yeah. Yeah.
It blows my mind how much people like start a business and they pay attention to all this and that and this and that. And it's like, well, okay, but are you actually doing a good job? Is
that's
it nice in there?
That's the one thing that we
good?
Exactly. We set out to. We're not going to care about anyone else.
Yeah.
We know what the demographic is. We know what the median household income is. Mm-hmm. They can afford this.
Right.
So now we just have to make sure that every experience is worth the price.
Right.
So the locker rooms have to be pristine. The mats have to be pristine. They have to feel like they're walking into not necessarily a country club, but I feel good paying $199 a month.
Yeah.
Here.
And I don't even think that people necessarily consciously go, oh, everything here is clean, but subconsciously it just feels good to be in there. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was experiencing at the other one. I'm like, I'm paying how much? And like, I don't even know if I want to roll on that mat.
Right.
Like,
oh, that's another level.
It was. I'm not even trying to exaggerate.
Oh,
It
really?
was like, it was that bad.
Huh.
And I'm thinking, this doesn't make sense in this area.
Yeah.
But there's nothing else here. So hence the reason for us.
Because that was one of the small box ones, right? One of the ones that used to be
Correct.
City Boxing or something like that?
like 5,000 square feet.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
Yep.
The UFC gym in Corona, do you remember Vince Paklev? He was the manager at UFC gym.
Yeah.
I was on his podcast recently, and it was interesting. So that's how we met. I trained your son there, right? And then that gym, I feel like, did it really, really well. I don't know if all of the corporate ones were like that, because I was one of the corporate ones. But I was telling him, like, man, I learned so much about how to, and I remember everybody that worked there, not everybody, a lot of people that worked there used to always complain about it. And I'm like, dude, they're like, this is how like gyms should be ran. I mean, there's
100%.
a little difference, but you know what I mean?
But overall, and then they did the recovery center, so we have that in our now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when Damon, about 2 years ago, we switched roles, and he's pretty much the primary owner.
Okay.
And then I'm just kind of in the background now because I got my other businesses, and it just wasn't working. I tried to put an office in there that I could work out of. It was like Grand Central Station coming in and out of there, like calls, and it just didn't work. But he's like, we need another revenue stream. So where our office was, gutted it out and made it a recovery.
Nice.
So it's cryo and red light and all of it.
Oh, nice.
Hyperbaric, all there. And it's now for him, it's great because now he's bringing in another audience that just wants recovery. And they're like, oh, I didn't know this gym was here. Wow.
Yeah.
So vice versa. You got all the people training use
the
it.
traffic kind of cross
Yeah,
promotes each other.
And he calls it's avalanche recovery.
Uh-huh.
So it's actually its own entity inside of the gym.
Okay.
So now he's able to bring in people that need recovery, and then go, oh, I didn't know there was a gym here. Cool. And then the members, oh, that's awesome.
How do you structure the? Is Avalanche like paying rent to Storm, or is it under the same?
Yeah, under the same.
Okay.
Because he's pretty much owns them both.
Just branded different.
Just branded different. Yeah.
There's a storage room in the back. Excuse me, the back of my gym, and that's what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't have enough room for all that stuff, but for sure, cold plunge and like a small sauna and a shower. Because I have a friend that has a Pilates studio, and they converted their storage room. It was just like rent they were paying, square footage. You know what I mean?
Wasted space. Yeah.
And they're in Oceanside, but they charge like $40 a use or something like that. I wouldn't do that, but they have a super high end. There's a bunch of rich middle-aged white ladies that they're catering to. So
know your market, right?
Right. But it is like in terms of like a secondary, and they super complement each other. Like you said, like people that are looking for martial arts almost always are looking for recovery, and then a lot of the people that want recovery, they're obviously active people, so then like they're gonna transfer over, a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say if I took our whole membership base and broke it down, the vast majority is your woman, about 28 to 35, 36 years old.
Yeah.
You think MMA and oh my God, a bunch of pro fighters in there. We don't have one.
No.
You know what I mean? But the image sometimes
That's
of
the
an
outside
MMA,
perspective.
right?
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure,
you get in there, and it's just you're people wanting to grind it out, stressed out during the day, come in and take the kickboxing. Almost all of our classes every day are full.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's great.
I feel like do you have a lot of women that take jiu-jitsu? I feel like the females, they go towards the kickboxing, and then the men
correct.
go towards the grappling.
Not many. You're right. Yeah. I would say 80-20 men to women in jiu-jitsu for sure.
Yeah.
But kickboxing class, 50-50, maybe even more women.
Yeah. I could see that. That was counterintuitive to me, and I it's funny. I have this like I don't know how you say. I have this mission to like grow the women's program in our gym, and because it's good, it like just generally is a good thing for like the women in the community. But also, I saw like a couple of back-to-back posts, like Instagram posts, where these guys were like, they made an Instagram post that was like red flags to how to know if your gym is toxic, like it's a toxic environment. And it's like if there's no women in the gym,
okay.
like, fuck, I gotta get different women here.
Right, it helps balance it out a little bit, right? Yeah, for sure.
But
we
it's
have a
hard.
great kids program.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a kids fight team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do they do, like pancration? Or like
Yeah,
what kind
pancration type, and even
Nice.
boxing. They have them in Orange County a lot now. They're like sparring matches.
Right.
Where it's like 2-3 round things in small points.
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
a lot. We have a lot. Actually,
And they
a
wear
lot of
headgear
members.
and
Yeah,
stuff, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, our kids are pretty badass.
Nice. Dude, the kids are fun to do. The kids are like the kids is where you see the most impact that you make.
100%. The day I retire, that will be like people. What are you gonna do when you retire? Train kids.
Yeah, right.
I get so much reward from that.
For sure.
And they're your little kids that aren't your kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Does your son still train at all? Like I know he's playing football, or is he still playing football?
No, he's done.
Okay.
He had a walk on for Michigan, and
Okay.
then blew out his ACL and just could never get it right. Ended up having to have 2 surgeries. I have a semi-pro team in Phoenix. He played 1 year with us in 22, and then like game 8 made a move and didn't blow it out. But he's like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah. So now he's trying to find his way, modeling and doing some other stuff.
Okay,
but,
nice.
Yeah, he got away from the
How old is he
martial
now?
arts. 22.
Oh, nice. Plenty of time.
You had him in the ring at 13.
Yeah, right. Oh man, crazy.
Those
That's
things
wild.
they post up on the Facebook, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, every time I see it every year, I'm like, man, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And he's so glad that he did that.
Yeah.
I remember our little story of him with that was we were going to the UFC, and I had signed him up for one of the classes and didn't tell him. And
Really?
so we walked in. I'm like, hey, let's go back over here. And then I opened the door. I'm like, there you go. He goes, what? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, you are. Threw him in, went and worked out, and then I peeked back in, and meanwhile he's beating the shit out of all kinds of kids, and I was like, I knew it. And then he's like, hey, I think I like this.
He was a good athlete. He was a natural at it for sure.
Yep.
Dude, you know what I've learned lately is I've changed my opinion on whether or not you should force kids to do sports or martial arts they don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, was Storm always wanting to play football?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was never an issue.
I was still playing semi-pro when he was born.
Okay.
So he was in the locker room. He was around it.
Okay.
So then when he was around 4 or 5, it was, I want to play.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Okay.
I mean, when he was 6 years old, he did flag. So he was in football right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it was all and it was, can we go train? Like, he was always the one, believe it or not, that was asking me, can we
that's
go
cool.
work out? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was it seems like he's always been a super motivated
Yeah, he's got a great work ethic.
Yeah.
Yeah. For something that he wants, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are the other things you're doing now?
The packaging and manufacturing business has just blown up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I first started in it was just boxes and bags and just packaging.
Yeah.
And then I seen
That's what you were doing didn't you
yeah.
work in? I thought you did some sort of makeup.
Well, that's where I kind of started.
Okay.
It wasn't really makeup. It was a makeup company, but we were
Okay.
doing the packaging for it. I had a friend that worked there, so
Okay.
he got me in, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth in packaging.
Yeah.
And then I was getting approached by doing little one-time use, like stick packs. You know, you pour for power liquid IV type stuff.
Right.
And when at that time we didn't do anything like that. So I went to our ownership and asked, did we want to get into it? And he's like, no, the learning curve in that industry is years and years, but if you want to do it, knock yourself out. So I started literally knowing nothing about it, went to an equipment company. How do these work? Who do you sell them to? Went to a co-packer, and I was like, okay, I can see how I can tie my business in with this.
Yeah.
So in 2007, I started Elite Fill and was all around contract manufacturing, and then just started doing really well with it. Started getting into wellness, skincare. So we're doing all things CPG, they call it, right? Consumer product group. So anything that you would consume as a consumer, both ingestible and topical.
Okay, gotcha.
So then I started listening to customers' requests. Hey, do you do formulation? Do you guys do warehousing, distribution? No. Yeah, I think I need to get into this. So I hired a formulator. Once I did that, it just exploded. So then I had Liquid IV. I was Liquid IV's second co-packer when they started.
Oh,
And that
I remember going to your gym. There was always a bunch of liquid.
Before no one ever knew anything
Right.
about the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it started there, and then that really got me into wellness, got me into the formulations, and then we just really picked up steam.
So what you're doing now? Are you competing against Liquid IV, or are you still working?
No. So what we do is we a lot of people don't realize it, but just about every brand don't make their own products. They third party it.
Yeah.
So that's what we are. We just help Liquid Death just came out with a hydration product.
Oh, really?
So it's just like a Liquid IV in a stick pack. They came to me, and then I think it's in Target now. It just got into Target. So it'll be around in all the distributors. Wherever you see Liquid Death, you'll be seeing their hydration product pretty soon.
Is that the business that I saw you post some pictures with Rob Deerdeck?
Yeah, well, with Rob, I'm an investor in one of his brands, which is called MindRight.
Okay.
So it's a brand all based around neurotropics. So everything brain related, all your mushrooms and all that, pop chips and bars and drink mixes.
Okay.
And I met Rob because they came to me for the co-packing.
Oh.
But it wasn't Rob, it was the other founder, Chris Bernard. And so he's like, hey, you ever invest in any of the companies you work with?
Yeah.
And I could. He's like, well, Rob Dyrdek's one of the founders. I was like, can I get on a call with Rob Dyrdek? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that could happen.
Yeah.
The most amazing guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Met him, had a couple lunches. I'm doing product for his wife. His wife has a company called Iconic Beauty.
Okay.
We're helping develop some stuff for them. He got me into his network of people. So Lewis Howes, working on a project with him.
Oh, that's cool.
And, no, Rob is, I can't say enough good things. You see the skateboarder guy, right?
Right.
He is unbelievable in business. He has a Dyrdek machine, which is a group of businesses that he acquires or buys into or invests into. So he brings them into the machine, and the machine is everything from the back end, digital marketing, product placement, market research, And then we kind of teamed up on a few things, and then I do the back end. So it's all the manufacturing and distribution of the products.
Is he the way that he seems? Like, is he always turned on, like,
always
energy through 5,000?
No. He did me a huge solid. So when Storm turned 19, he loves Rob.
Yeah.
So I was like, Rob, I know this is a big ask, and you can tell me no. Could you have like 15 minutes with my son, like on a Zoom call or something for his birthday? Oh, done. Set it up. I'll have my assistant give you a call. He sat there with him for an hour talking about modeling, acting, what he should do, what he shouldn't do. And then he started talking about how he manages his day.
Yeah.
So he shows us his computer screen. He's got a whole week lined up, every hour of every day, color-coded based on personal, business, leisure, grade, ranks it. He's coming out with an actual software program that's like about time blocking, but it's to the next level. So the guy is a whole nother level. Like I seen a podcast where this guy was talking about him. He does 500 episodes of ridiculousness a year.
Right.
It takes up 4% of his time.
Does he film them all at once?
Well, not that, but everything is from 1 to 2, I do this. From 2 to 4, I do this. So his whole day, there's no missing minutes. I think his phrase is he's learning how to buy back time.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So time blocking is something that I picked up like 6 months or a year ago. I read a couple books on time management. And do you do it?
Yeah. I try.
Yeah,
to the best I can.
It's like I'll time block it, right? But then as soon as one thing gets fucked up, it's like, oh, now I gotta, and then fucking, like, I don't know.
That's where, when I brought that up to Rob, and he's like, yeah, that's the discipline part of it, is that you have to be able to, when that time's up, it has to go to the next day. You have to stop it. Because if not, then it starts to bleed into itself.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, it is. It's so hard when you're locked in on something. It's like, oh no, I just want to fucking finish this.
Yeah, I'm right there. But then if you don't, then might as well not do it because it's irrelevant. You're not really time blocking. You're kind of like, hey, hopefully I get this done.
Yeah. It's just a checklist.
It's just a checklist.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. Instead of a time blocking, just do a checklist.
Right. Yeah. Man, it made a big difference. And you know what else I felt the difference on is that how much I could do with my stress levels not being, when you're like, oh, I do this, and then you have to keep in your head, like, remember to do that later, and I'll do it, and then this gets interrupted, and then when you can just be like, no, I'm doing this, and I'm only doing this, and then you don't have to keep all this background information, and you can just be like, okay, I'm done with this, now this, and I felt like I could do so much more without being like overwhelmed.
Completely. I was in the hamster wheel of checking my emails all the time.
Yeah.
And Rob was the one who actually got me on the whole thing. We were at lunch. He's like, you got to quit doing that, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know. He's like, no, but the only reason why I'm saying that is you're not fully in it. Right. So what's happening is you're not 100% focused. So if you just do emails from 8 to 11, 2 to 4 every day, you'll be in the moment and you'll be able to give those, the person that's sending you the email, the respect of not just, got it.
Yeah, and I do that so much. I don't have any time. I just have to say like yes, and then like I don't get to make any
And so then when I'm like, let me try this, and he's 100% on point because then it's slowing down, answering you more thoroughly, giving. Because I was accused of that, like, man, dude, your emails are like one sentence.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm at the stoplight answering it, because I got a million things, right? But then when I look at the quality of everything is mediocre. It's not top notch and just you're not in the moment. So that's the whole other part about the time blocking is you're all in that moment. So for him, every day is a family moment. So whether it's dinner, whether it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I take my kids and we go to the park. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And then he's all in. He feels like in those moments, there's nothing else. The phone gets left. I'm in the moment. So he's not where the kids, I'm going to take you to the park. Well, hey, hold on a second. And the kid's like, what the fuck? You know
that's
what I mean?
Me, dude.
Well, dude, me too. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was like, I try to step back and look from like, not just time blocking, but the repercussions of not doing that. Not being in the moment on all aspects. And I'm scratching the surface.
Yeah.
It's still, like you're saying, getting off the, here and there if going too long. But when I look at him, the guy's going to be a billionaire. with a B.
Yeah. It's funny because like a year ago, maybe I looked him up, and he came to mind, and because of what he's, I mean, I guess I don't watch MTV, so maybe that's why. But I was like, oh man, I wonder what happened to Rob Dyrdek. Like in my head, he fell off, huh? And I look him up, like, oh fuck.
No, I think the last net worth was $400 million, and that was a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and I think he did $1 billion deal. No, the guy's so smart. So he has his own production company, and then the MTV bought the production company from him, but he still runs it.
Oh, okay.
It's just he's at another level.
Yeah.
He introduced me early on to his financial advisor.
Yeah.
This lady named Brittany. She has her own. Another one, right? Just that group of just savants.
Yeah.
She has her own Burst Oral Care. So his financial advisor has her own companies.
I'm just making sure you're in shot. Yeah,
her own companies.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, she's a financial advisor.
Yeah.
I met with her for lunch. She saved me like $300,000 just sitting there at lunch talking about I was going to sell my house in Phoenix.
Yeah.
She's like, well, you've been there for 2 years, right? And I go, well, not yet. Well, you know the capital gains? No, I don't. What's that? Oh, so if it's a permanent residence, you're there for 2 years, it's up to $250,000 free capital. I'm like, I didn't know that. It's like, yeah, don't sell it yet.
Just wait.
So I waited.
So
I waited the 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
Sold it, ended up getting like a $300 profit on it that I would have paid taxes on it had I not. It's just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I should give you something for that.
Well, that's why I was like, can I do it? She's like, no, of course not, whatever. And I was like, yeah, that investment really helped me out.
Right. Right.
It already got me a return on my investment being part of mine, right? It was great. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's crazy how much is out there and like how much you can do. Like I don't know, like a lot of times I feel limited. It's like you're like, oh, I'm hitting this ceiling and I don't get why, it's or at least I feel like a lot of people feel that way. It's like, why can't I get to this? I'm like, well, you just don't have the information. Like it's there, it's possible. I mean, certainly,
100%.
definitely people get lucky, right? But I feel like a lot of people feel like, this just keeps going wrong. I'm like, dude, things go wrong for the people that make it too. They just either have the connections or they know the things. You know what I mean?
I think you nailed it earlier about the emotionally involved part. If you're able to not be emotionally involved, which is way easier said than done, of course,
right.
You think way more clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you've like invested so much time, I feel like you have to be able to flip it on and off because sometimes it helps. Like it helps when you're on offense,
right?
To be emotionally involved.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I guess the emotionally draining part is the part you got to be able to just somehow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how can you be passionate about something and then just turn it off?
Right. Yeah. I feel with fighting, like when I was fighting, I was like hyper compulsive obsessive, and I had a lot to do with like these really unnecessary things, But then what I learned is like. I'm a big believer in the whole 80-20 thing. Like 20% of the things that you do get 80% of the results.
100%.
But then when I'm doing martial arts, that doesn't. It's like no, you're going to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Oh, you want to be 100? I mean,
yeah, I feel like that's better. It's for that. But you can't do that in like your whole life. It's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not
so like sometimes I have to turn on my obsessiveness, and sometimes I gotta like no.
Good point.
When I run out of my time block, turn off your obsessiveness.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I can't leave this like this.
It's just not done right.
Right.
Yeah. I think it applies to probably 90% of the things in life, but there might be some that it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we were building the gym, and like a lot of the guys were helping me. Like, the cracks in the floor. Though they don't quite line up, I'm like, dude, you gotta move on. I gotta get this done. no one's ever gonna like. When I built the first gym, man, I was so fucking, dude. Everything needs to be perfect. We line all these things up, everything sitting. You know what I mean? Like all these details that would probably they killed me. Like I'd look around like, fuck, those mats.
You see everything. Yeah.
And then I realized, like, as I had less and less time to be perfect, it made no difference.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm just doing this for my own pride almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All the things that you're hyper focused on, no one is even going to ever notice.
Right.
Yeah.
So what else you doing lately? What do you do with your free time? You still hit mitts and stuff a little bit?
Yeah. I train twice a week.
Nice.
Do, just boxing though.
Yeah. Do you still have a knee? Do you have a knee that
it's
bothers
done.
you?
Yeah. Anything on the ground is out of my future. God forbid I get in a fight and we go to the ground. Just throw a bunch of elbows.
Right.
But I've stayed in it since we trained.
Yeah.
I've always had somebody working with me, and it's more for being ready. What's you don't have to get ready if you're
stay ready.
Yeah, stay ready.
Right. Yeah.
Not that I'm expecting to go in any octagon anytime soon, but
Right.
you never know. And then plus it's more stress release and try to stay in shape and all that.
Yeah, for sure. The how do you go about with Storm with the gym? When you're looking for coaches, did all your coaches come from like inside? Or it's hard to find people that can teach martial arts that aren't already tied to another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you guys go about
the coaches we've had have been with us for quite a while.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I think just by being in the industry, having a lot of these fights where the kids team fights and all that, we're meeting people, and that's definitely Damon's area. he's a black belt. It's been in jiu-jitsu, been in the world, it's been in all that. So he knows that area and is a part of that community. So, but you're right. Getting coaches is a struggle, and most of the good ones are locked in somewhere, especially a black belt for jiu-jitsu. Very few are going to want to put their black belt on the wall.
Damon was a black belt when you guys started? I met him, right? That's who I went to lunch with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
How much does he... So, what I have a hard time with is, like, on this, like, perfectionist thing is, like, when I have other people who are teaching, I want it to be, like, exactly the way I do it. And then it's not, I know it doesn't need to be that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, how much is he like managing other coaches, or like, hey, like you got to do it this way? Do you guys have like a formula? Like, hey, we stick to class like this. Like I remember at UFC gym, it was too much like that. It was like, we had to go into this notebook and be like, you have to teach these moves. And I would get in trouble if I never taught them either. And I would get in trouble all the time when I got caught. How much does he like manage and like on like quality control?
To the degree where you should as a manager, but he allows all the coaches to kind of do their own thing.
Yeah,
there's no real curriculum that has to be followed like UFC. But he's pretty open, and then he'll jump into class here or there. And
does he still teach
when he needs to?
Okay,
yeah. He still
mostly
jiu-jitsu
managing.
And still do jiu-jitsu, and then that definitely trains the kids. He's ahead of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. Nice.
Yeah, he wears a lot of hats.
Yeah,
a lot of hats.
I feel like the kids, man, a lot of people overlook that, especially when you're trying to make. If you want to make a good adults program, you can't. At least with competition or with fights, if you want to make a good competition adults program, you have to have a good kids program because. What I find is that I have some exceptions, and I have some guys that started later that are really committed. But it's funny because the guys that train a lot, that they train like all the time, and they're like structured and disciplined, and they don't get distracted with this and that, they're already getting close to 40. You know what I mean? And so they crush it in like the Masters tournaments, but they're not going to be adult world champions.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And usually when someone gets into it at 20. Like I said, there's exceptions, but they got girlfriends, and they're like, "Oh, this happened. Today I got to do this." You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, this guy has a full runs a business. He's got 3 kids and a wife.
He's still
he can make it here more than you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't even get me started about that whole thing. Yeah. The work ethics have definitely changed over the years, to say the least.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Man, how much difference do you feel like? That's a big thing, right? I always wonder if I'm being biased because if I'm just being one of those like, when I was younger.
Yeah, you got to check yourself, right?
Yeah,
because every generation says that about the one behind them, right? But I don't know. I mean, even me having my semi-pro team, and I played for so many years.
Yeah. You own a semi-pro team also? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the one I play for, the Phoenix Outlaws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just won the championship this last year, and when I took it over in 22, we won. That's the year Storm played.
Yeah.
And then last year we went to the semis, lost, and then this year we went undefeated.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's the same team that I played for, and then when I moved to Phoenix or got a house in Scottsdale, the head coach is like, "You living here now?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I want to spend most of my time here. He's like, "Hey, we should go to lunch."
Yeah.
So we went to lunch, and he had a blue folder. So we sat down, and he was like,
It was an offer.
I was like, what's this? He's like, that's all the details for the team. Congratulations, you're the new owner. I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I did, 26 years been around. So yeah, for him, he did it for 24, 23.
Well, when were you playing? Was it under that guy that sold it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, 99 the team started.
Yeah. Is that a does it make money?
No.
Or is it a passion project?
It's a passion project. Yeah.
Does it break even?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just like it.
Yeah, but for me, it was when I look back from when I started playing, it was in my late 20s, all through my 30s. So influential. I mean, 5 guys at my wedding were on my football team. It's just such a brotherhood. And I feel like I do well in life. It's a nice give back. There's a lot of kids that are on that team that if they didn't have something else to do, would probably be getting in trouble. And we just had 4 kids get offers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, guys that for whatever reason high school just didn't make it. They're not Power 5 schools, ASU or anything, but they're community colleges or junior colleges. But there's 4 of them that are going to football's going to pay for the right. So for me, that's what it is.
For sure.
I'll keep doing that as long as I can. Yeah. I just feel like it's a feel good thing. It's a pride thing. Win the championship. And all that. Yeah. But the underlying is for the kids to hopefully go somewhere else or have an outlet. Because for me, work. I couldn't wait to go to football and hit someone as hard as I possibly could and not get in trouble for it.
How much you think that you did good in football because of your work ethic, or do you think that football gave you the work ethic?
Yes.
Which way around?
Football gave me the work ethic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, the owner of CDW company I work with, he always says that. He's like, Big Steve, it's on the goal line. It's 4th down. Every reference is a football reference because that's where you learned it from, the 2-a-days and all that. So, yeah, I think it was definitely a foundation setter for sure.
I always use football references when I teach classes. Then I'm like, at least I think that's right. I don't know. I don't even watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's such a big... How old were you when you started playing?
I didn't start playing football till high school. I didn't even play it. Yeah, in sophomore year.
Oh, shit. Late.
Yeah, late. Compared to today's standards, way late.
Yeah. It started like little kids, right? 4 or 5.
Where I grew up, we just couldn't afford it. We just couldn't afford it. Equipment was too expensive. My sophomore year, one of my friends was like, we should go out for the football team. And I was working out. I was like kind of in bodybuilding at that time. So it was an easy, transition. And then that was it. I was hooked. Yeah.
So that's what I talked about, like, you should force your kids to play some sports or martial arts, I used to be of the school where I'm like, hey, if they don't like this, you shouldn't force them to come because eventually they're going to quit. So just like kind of let them do what they want to do. You know what I mean? And now having seen much more, and a larger number of kids going through, man, okay, if they hate it, like if they're like screaming, like, I don't,
right.
That's
then all right. Other than that, you're going.
Yeah.
Yep.
And man, I like I said, I would always think that if you force them, then they would inevitably hate it. But I haven't seen that pattern at all. Like I have a lot of kids who they initially were like indifferent to, it's not really my thing. Like I'd rather do something else. And their dads, or usually dads, but sometimes moms, they would be like, no, you're going to learn how to do this.
Yep.
And man, I mean, 1 or 2 of them did eventually quit, but they would have quit anyways if you just let them quit,
Yep.
But the majority of them, because they had to be there, they with like against their will got better. And then like once they started beating people, then they're like, oh, actually, shit.
Well, look to the earlier story. Look at Storm, right? Like, what are you doing throwing me in here? I'm not doing this. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
And then what? A year later, you got him training for a pancreation match.
Right.
You know, where he's like, I want to do this. So, and he says to this day, that was one of the best things that you ever did for me, was force me to do that.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, man, it's so... I feel like football... I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking about this earlier, getting ready for this, but I feel like there's a parallel between football and fighting. Because football is almost it kind of is a combat sport in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Fighting's way harder, though.
Harder in which...
In my opinion, they're not even close. I mean, football's tough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
physically harder or like technically hard? Like,
I would say physically harder.
Okay.
Dude,
Like cardio-wise.
When me and I still tell the story when
Yeah.
you leg kicked me 3 times, I couldn't walk.
That's funny.
Right? That and even rolling during those times when I was even trying,
Yeah.
not even close, in
Yeah.
my opinion, of football.
But I think that you would have felt differently if you started fighting at the age you started football.
Probably.
You know, like
Well,
if I went and played football for the first time now, I'd be like, fuck.
Well, I can tell you this: if I would have started fighting when I started playing football, I would have never played football. I would have been a fighter for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I just discovered it too late in life, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I mean, like, with the parallel there is just like in terms of the mental toughness that is required
Correct.
is more than other non-combat sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe like cardio wise, it's a little bit more difficult just because it's shorter bursts versus 25 minutes or whatever,
Right.
But what I was trying to get at is just like if you get your kids into these things, their perspective on how difficult other things are, like starting a business,
Oh yeah.
Like when I went to start my dent business, I remember being like, oh, like how do you do you think, why do I think that I could do this? I'm like, man, I did like relatively well in fighting with more or less zero natural ability. If I could do that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
The confidence, right?
Yeah.
Like my wife, her daughter just had a baby. He's just a little over 1. And they were asking me, what do you think? What do you think we should do? As many sports as possible.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you've got to get him into MMA.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
really? We don't want him to be it has nothing to do with fighting. I
Yeah,
promise
you
you.
want to be a
it's
fighter.
nothing.
Yeah.
Just knowing. And I think even with Storm, right? Doing pancreation at 13, you're not afraid of nobody
Right. Yeah.
in high school. And you can pick that up.
For sure.
Like a bully bullies you because you're calling down. If you're like, yeah, you're probably not a good idea if you do that, dude.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
No
you
need to
seem
fight.
calm,
Yeah,
like, why is this guy?
right, exactly. And I think, and I was trying to tell her, if you do anything, please just do that.
Yeah.
Just
For
do
sure.
that. Just maybe even from 5
boy
to
or
7.
girl,
Boy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just a level of confidence, respect.
Yeah.
Like you said, being pushed to
For
the
sure,
limit.
for sure.
All those things that you're going to need in your life later on.
Yeah.
If they can be established when they're that young. I'm in 100% agreements.
Yeah.
Force, kicking and screaming, no, okay. But then maybe you need to check yourself. There's something maybe going on there. I mean, not to say every kid.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah. I always say this, but one of the only one of the only true things that came out of the Fight Club, the movie, is there's like the quote, like, once you've been in a fight, everything else in your life, the volume gets turned down.
Yeah. Because that's like the biggest fear is getting hit in the mouth. What you do, like, well, I mean, it hurts.
What's he
but
gonna
it
do?
ain't
Punch
that
me?
big. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What else you feel like? So for someone getting into business, especially starting from a small business, what do you feel like is the biggest? What's the one thing you'd give them? You know, like, you got to make sure you're doing this, or maybe it's not one. One to three things.
When I got into the packaging business, the guy who got me into it said, "Put your head down, don't look up for 2 years. If you can do that, you'll be successful. But if you're counting every commission check or every deal, how much am I going to make? I promise you,
daunting.
You're not going to do it because you're going into it for the wrong reasons.
Oh, okay.
So if you're going into trying to service the customer, the money will come.
Yeah.
So I think if my advice would be, pick something that you love. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but I think that's what you want to get up every morning. But realizing that it can take a long time. And do you have the stamina to ride it out? Like even the gym. One thing I didn't take into account in the beginning was the cash burn. You're just like, okay, so how much is the mats and all the equipment and the build out is this? Okay, great. Let's open.
Yeah.
Well, day one, you don't make money. You got to build the EFT up for a year to get it to pay the overhead.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I knew I had to have some capital, I didn't realize how much capital.
I feel you on that. Yeah.
So, going into, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur these days and own their own business. It's just make sure you know your market and make sure that you're willing to put in the time. Some may take For me, it was right around the 2-year mark is when I got my first like big customer that I could live off the business. But for the first 2 years, I had like 10 jobs.
Yeah, I think 2 years for a lot of people would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But 2 years goes by anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, those 2 years, what'd you do?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
not much.
Yeah.
Well, if you did that, then in 2 years, you're going to be way, farther ahead. So for me, 24 years of doing this, I know just about everything.
Yeah. That's so true. Like, what else would you do with that 2 years? Like, wait for your annual 3% raise that you got from your whatever.
It's going to go by anyway.
Right,
so
yeah.
if you're able to just put the nose down and don't look up for again 2 years, that's why I told Storm when he tried to get into the packaging business. Does all right, with it, but it's not sexy. It's not sexy.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not Instagram worthy, unless I'm posting a photo with Rob and everybody's like, "Why are you with him?" And nothing to do with the packaging. They don't give a shit about that, right? So just finding something. So that's where we're at now. It's like, what do you love? If money wasn't, a thing. So he actually is getting his personal training certificate.
Oh, nice.
Had the gym for 100 years now and hasn't had any. So now wants to get into that because he likes fitness. And I'm like, yeah, just stay in that mode. Something you love and you want to do. For me, the packaging was just a good friend of mine that he had the business.
Yeah.
So we went out and I started meeting people like, he makes how much? And he made what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm in the wrong business here.
So what part of it is like, so you're saying getting into something that you love? Because I imagine that actually packaging is not the thing that you love doing. So I imagine it's part of doing the business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's working on something from a concept like Liquid Death would be great, right? So they came, hey, this is what we want to do. Well, it's meeting after meeting and iteration and changing the flavor and adding this and what do we want the panel to look like?
The process,
right? The whole process. Just going and multiple meetings and no, we're done. And then it gets, the ups and downs, and then all of a sudden you go into a Target and you're like,
yeah.
If anyone knew what it took to get that thing
Just
on the
standing there
shelf,
in the hydration aisle, like, yeah.
I own this baby. Yeah. So you're right. That was the part where, from a concept to actually developing a product that consumers are buying and using and liking is kind of cool.
Dude, that like lights me up, man. The process of starting with an idea and acting on it, and that's the big one, right? Acting on it, and then building on it, building it, making it, tweaking it, and then getting it up to something. I think that's the reason why I like martial arts, right? Like that was myself.
Right.
I'm a white belt with an idea.
Yep.
And then just like, all right, learn from this person, take this, though this isn't working, let's twist this, and then, you know what I mean?
Try this, that didn't work, try that didn't work.
Right.
Okay. I see the way he did that. Okay. Yeah.
That's such a big obsession of mine is starting with just building something from nothing.
Well, you
or
nailed
from
it
a small
in the beginning.
thing.
Just starting.
Yeah.
For me, it was with the gym. Like, I want to do this. I need to do this. And then I would wake up every day, and that you got to open a gym was on my mind. I'm like, if I don't do this, I may fail.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, gyms don't do well unless you just figure it out.
Right.
I've been in enough. I came from Powerhouse, so that's how I knew how to run gyms.
What's Powerhouse?
It's like a Gold's Gym, World's Gym.
Oh,
They're
okay.
based out of Detroit.
Okay.
And from where I'm from.
Yeah.
So that's how that's the first job I had. Was working at a gym.
Were you selling memberships or training people?
Yeah, just selling memberships.
Okay.
And then I ended up being the manager.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to open up a club in California.
Yeah.
And where do we open it? Right across the street from Gold's Gym in Venice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 23, sitting in Main Street across from Gold's, trying to sell a Powerhouse gym membership, and the bodybuilders walking by me like, are you out of your mind? Do you know? Yeah, I know what Gold's is.
Yeah.
I know very well what it is.
How did it work? How did you guys make that work?
Yeah, it works. What they did is they made it more kind of a little bit more upscale.
Okay.
Which really we weren't. We were just the Gold Worlds. It was Gold Worlds and Powerhouse, at least back east.
Yeah.
So those were the musclehead gyms.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, we're gonna open up in Cal. You want to go? Wait a minute. Stay here in Detroit at 22, or go to Venice Beach?
Yeah.
When's my plane flight out of here? So that's what got me out here, and the rest is history.
Especially at that time, Venice Beach. Now I wouldn't want to go, but
no. This was when it was happening.
Nice.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Tell my age here, but yeah, it was a while ago.
I forget who I hear. Who did I think it was like Gary Vee. I watch a lot of Gary Vee. He's like
I like Gary Vee.
He's my hero.
Yeah.
He was saying like anytime there's like a single business, like dominating. Man, I may be misquoting him. It might not have been him. Most of my business quotes I got from him, so I'm assuming. But like anytime there's a single business that's been dominating a market for a long time, and they seem like, how am I supposed to compete with those guys? That's actually where there's like the most
perfect time.
Yeah.
Perfect
because they've probably been doing the same thing because they're so dominant. They're probably doing the same thing. And
well,
not
they made
like,
awareness of it, right? So now they're the dominating factor.
Right.
So now there's always room. The McDonald's Burger King concept, right? There's always room for one more if you do it right, or just a little tweak of something different than they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I got the same kind of reaction for some like the local black. Like Miles tells me this all the time. He's like, "You opened a Jiu Jitsu school in San Diego?" Like, dude, that's like
the Mecca,
right? Yeah.
But like, you were down the street from Gracie? Oh wow!
Right.
All right.
Yeah, man. When we ended up in Escondido, it was a lot of the things I felt like, you know, I had all these ideas for plans, but a lot of things really just worked out because everywhere in San Diego was like saturated with all these different gyms and like big famous gyms and stuff, and then we were going to open in Carlsbad because that's where we lived. But then I made friends with the guy that owned Alliance Carlsbad, the two guys. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to open here. That'd be weird. And then so I was like, let me go a little east, go to Vista. And then I had an acquaintance who I knew, but I didn't realize he owned a school. And he was like, can you not open here? And I was like, and now actually he's a friend. But at the time, you just kind of knew him. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll see what I can do.
But I'm still opening. Sorry.
I told him, I was like, hey, like I will go look around, but if this is the best place, then this is what I'm gonna do. And then I looked around and I went to Escondido, and which I really like being here now. And but you know, I found like it's like the one city in all of San Diego that didn't just have like this fucking huge mass of schools. And I was like, oh shit, they're just like
there you go.
Yeah,
worked out.
Yeah, worked out well.
Nice.
All right, cool. So we're hitting an hour. You want to throw anything else in? Anything you want to shout out or products and stuff?
Yeah, I'm good.
At least 80 people that are going to hear this. So
right on. Yeah, if anyone needs any product formulation or manufacturing, Steve at elitefill.com.
That's it. Nice. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, by the way, I appreciate you doing
that. Thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks for having me, bro.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.